Folks are back. This is Steve Sanson and Stephanie Phillips with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today we have Louie Frias, founder of USPatriotsFund.org. But before we get to Mr. Frias, Ms. Phillips, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. You know, I had my announcement to make and don't have that anymore. We had the book signing, everybody. Yeah. That was awesome. That was so much fun.
Thank you so much. You did a hell of a job with that, by the way. You're very creative. She's very creative, Louie.
How many books did you get signed?
I work hard. A bunch. We got three boxes. We're down to one. Have one more box.
Well, we just got a new box that came in.
So, oh, okay. Well, that's good because we need more. Yeah. But anyway, thank you to everybody who came out. It was awesome. We had a good time. And I don't know if you guys heard, but the NSA, did you hear about the whistleblower that came forward?
No.
They caught over 100 people using an NSA platform for a sexual chat about fetishes, kinks, transgenderism, transgender surgery, and all of these people are supposed to be professionals handling our national security. And they're over there, and this is on duty. This is on our dime, on our time as American taxpayers. They're working for us. We're paying their salaries, and they're over there talking about in these highly sexual chat rooms. So old Tulsi Gabbard is going to fire every one of them, remove their security clearances, and out the door they go.
Out the door.
And that's just
without getting the reach around.
Over 100 people. No.
No reach around.
No, not at all. You don't get to pass go. You don't get to collect $200. So anyway.
I don't have a rant. I have an apology that I wanted. Wanted to make. And I went to the family court. Looking for halftime judges or no judges at all because it's a Friday, and because the chief judge wants 18 more judges when the judges that they have, a lot of them don't work a full 40-hour a week, sadly to say. But so I wanted to prove the point, and I went to the family court last Friday, and I saw that there were 18 judges missing. The only two judges that I saw was Judge Michelle Mercer and Bill Henderson. But I was told that Judge Carrie Maxey was also in the courthouse, and she was in the back in chambers. And we went to Carrie Maxey's courtroom yesterday, right? Yesterday? Mm-hmm. And she did an amazing job, and I wanted to apologize to Judge Carrie Maxey for leaving her out in the 3 count. So there was actually 3 judges at the family court house on Friday, and 17 was missing. So there you go. And you know what? If any judges out there that was back in the in their chambers and they had a admin day and they weren't, in the courtroom, but they were in their court chambers. I want to apologize, and please come forward and let me know. If you don't come forward, that means you weren't there. So what I'm going to start doing is actually peekaboo and on the judges' parking lot, and that should tell me a whole lot, unless a lot of the judges jump in a school bus and they all carpool to work. But so that's what I'm going to probably start doing, just to make sure. And just for the record, this Friday, I am going to be at the Regional Justice Center. Guess what I'm going to be looking for? Judges that are not there, or judges that work only mornings and, took a lunch break and forget that they had to go back. So I'm going to be looking for those 2 types of judges this Friday. So you guys know, and let me just say, if you're going to be in the courthouse and you're going to be in the chambers, you got my cell number, 702-283-8088, and just say, hey, we're not in the courtroom, but we're in our court chambers. And that way I could check you off my list. Because judges, you guys need oversight, believe me, because I've been doing this for 20 years. So you guys definitely need somebody watching, unfortunately. Or I could pull the judges' calendars and start to pick it up that way. Or I could see if I could get your access badges in and out of the courthouse. But they said that's a security breach. I don't know how it's a security breach if I got it after the fact, but that means they just don't want to give it to me. So,
We'll find them.
we'll find them. But you know what? There are some very good judges out there. There are some judges that care. There's some judges that work for the taxpayers. And I'm just talking about the judges that don't, the lazy ones, the ones that think that they're going to collect a $200,000 annual salary and don't have to do anything, or the ones that's been there a while and they feel entitled that maybe they should get a 4-day week a 4-day work day instead of a 5-day work day. So I'm just saying.
I want that.
Yeah, you want that. Yeah, we all want that.
At least they had, you warned them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So just to let you know,
we'll see y'all Friday.
Friday.
There's some fireworks in this town on Friday.
So Mr. Frias.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Tell us about you.
Okay. So I started helping veterans in 1981 in Southern California. I own a little company called Veteran Real Estate in the North Long Beach area, kind of like in the area of the Naval Weapons Station in Seal Beach, Todd Shipyard. So we had a lot of veterans come through our location. So all I did was sell homes to veterans. I didn't know how to do anything else. Couldn't sell a conventional or an FHA, couldn't do it at all. So in about 5 years, it was about 300 homes that I helped sell. Veterans put veterans and their families in. But that's not the frustrating part. To me, it was frustrating because I wanted always to do more. But what's frustrating, as you know, when you buy a big ticket item, bank has to see all your statements. They want to see your bank statements to see if you qualify to buy the property. Not one veteran in 5 years that I served did I ever look at their bank statement and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Veteran, what is this monthly consistent deposit from the VA for X amount of dollars? To which they would have responded what it was. My point is, 4 decades later, a colleague calls me and says, have you left for Mexico yet? Because that's where I was going to retire. And I said, no. He says, well, I think I found a way to help more veterans buy houses. Got it. I was introduced to the VA Disability Benefit Program. I was introduced to it from the perspective of a company that was doing it, but they were doing it for the wrong reasons, okay? I'm not going to get into what wrong reasons are, but if you have a code of ethics and morals, you can probably read between the lines.
Why not tell us the wrong reason?
Okay, they were doing it for money.
Okay.
And there was no consistency in their program, and I didn't see any consistency, so I was brought in as an outside consultant to see what was wrong with the company, to write the company, similar to what's going on in our administration now. You can see everything that's going on, but nobody wants to say anything because everybody's getting fat from what's happening. And I saw some abuses that I didn't like. So I spent about 6 months there and decided, you know what, I can do better. I can build a better mousetrap. So I had to leave, and I did. December 22, we put the company together with my brother.
That's the U.S. Patriot Fund.
Well, so what we started with this company, SOS Veterans Assistance, right? So SOS Veterans Assistance is a consulting firm that consults with veterans and gets them from where they are, whether that's never heard of this thing, or I got 10%, or I got 90%, I don't know what the heck to do now. We take them from that point and we push them across the finish line.
So is it called SOS Veterans Assistant or SOS Veterans Assistant?
SOS Veterans Assistance. And what we do with revenue from SOS is we pour that into the nonprofit that we started last year, which is the U.S. Patriot Fund. So SOS is a for-profit consulting firm. We have a very, very high success rate.
They're based here?
Yeah, we're here. Our success rate is 100%.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. I know that sounds, you're going to have some people that say nothing's 100%. Okay, I get that, but let me explain to you this way. If a veteran comes to us with no rating or a rating, every veteran who's hired us has received either an increase in rating all the way up to and including 100%, or they've gotten a brand new rating from 0 all the way to wherever it is. We just don't stop at where they are. We take them all the way to the 100%. Having said that, that's why we stand on 100% success rating. Now, the better question, if you wanted to go down, would be, how many veterans have you assisted getting to the 100% mark? And the two of you visited us at our celebration dinner earlier this year because we celebrated 9 veterans that we helped last year get to 100%. This year in 2025 already, 2. And we've got about a half a dozen that just cracked 70, 80, and 90.
Were they at a percentage before you got them, or they were at 0?
3 of them from last year were at 0. The other 6 had various ratings.
Okay.
But our fastest rating was, we had a veteran come to us in July and in November in 2024. He had no rating, never even heard of the system. This is bizarre because he came to us in July,
quick.
contracted with him, 90 days later, 100%.
90 days.
In 90 days. Right behind him,
How'd
we
you get
just
it
had
so
one.
fast?
Well, you know
Some
what?
people,
I'd love.
it takes years.
It
They
does,
say.
and
Yeah.
we have veterans from 2023 who are still creeping up. So here's what you have to understand: we're dealing with a very antiquated bureaucratic system known as the VA. There's 950,000 cases, claims with VA right now, and reductions are happening, and that's just the nature of the beast. So I can't claim anything at the VA side.
What do you mean reductions are happening?
Well, workforce,
okay.
right? So we've got 50, 53, or 56 regional offices across the country. Those offices are trimming the fat. Why? I don't know. They have the budget for it. There's $300 billion in the budget for VA. About half of that is allocated specifically for compensation and pension, which is what this avenue is. So a lot of veterans don't even know about it. So when they come to us, either as a referral or from another veteran or from direct marketing we do, they have a ton of questions. And so the first thing we do is we're all about education and information. We assume that you know nothing, whether you're at 90 or 0. The reason we do that is because we need a benchmark. Everybody starts the same and goes through the same process. Nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets to go past go and circumvent the system. So the way we do it is we have a system. The one thing that I will say that came out of the pandemic that I agree with is the ability to work virtually, right? We didn't want brick and mortar. I didn't want a veteran to have to leave their home or office, go somewhere, sit in a location, wait, and then have to be seen at that time. So we wanted to meet the veteran where the veteran is geographically and at their time zone.
So you go to their home.
I did today, but typically we do everything on the internet.
I usually tell veterans when they seek a disability rating, I usually send them to the VA hospital on the first floor.
The VSO down
They
there.
get the VSO down there, and that's where I usually send them.
That is an option, right? So we represent an option for them. And we've had veterans, and there's some good VSOs out
You don't
there.
charge a veteran for doing this.
We do, as the consulting side, we do. Because remember, that revenue, part of that revenue goes into fund the nonprofit so that we can go into the streets and locations across the country and
So
find
you
homeless
take a
veterans.
percentage of that?
No. That's the first thing we did. When we surveyed veterans, we said, what do you like? What do you not like about this disability benefit rating system? Probably 90% of the veterans said they didn't like what you just referenced. And that is, I don't like giving up my back pay. And it's typically 20%. So if you have a veteran that gets a $50,000 back pay and the company he hires to help them with that, they've got their hand out for $10,000. Some veterans are like, I'm okay, I don't care. I'm going to be getting all that money every month, tax-free for the rest of my life. What do I care? That's in the 10%.
So let me ask you something. How are you different from a veteran going to the VA hospital, first floor at the VSO, and file a claim?
Well, the only difference with the VSO is that you get what you pay for. Either they're volunteers or they're paid for by the county or the state or the federal government, right? And when you do anything that's free, you run the risk of having that person, that volunteer, be overloaded. And their caseload doesn't allow them to give the level of service that we feel a veteran deserves. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a VSO. We've had a number of veterans come from having used VSOs, but there's a glass ceiling for whatever reason, and I can't quantify it, but it exists. And we have a video on our website. It educates and informs veterans, and what we do is we're like, look, the last thing anybody wants in their life is buyer's remorse, whether it's dating, marriage, buying a car, or a home. The last thing you want to do is say. So what we advocate is take the time to educate and inform yourself so you know what your options are and you can pick the right one for you. And we tell our veterans, listen, we're going to tell you what your options are, and we're not leaning into us for the option. We're just saying, you know what, look at them. And we've had veterans that didn't do anything, tried it on their own, went with a VSO, and then they came back. Because on our website, we post testimonials. We consistently market to our veterans every week. We keep them apprised of what's happening at the VA because we get the big call 3 months into their claim filing, nothing's happening, Louie. Why isn't anything happening? Well, again, it's because there's over 900,000 claims at VA, and you have to relax. If you're uncomfortable with that answer, 800-827-1000. Give them a call. Ask them, where's my claim status? They have a portal. The VA has a portal. You can go in and take a look at what's on the portal to see where your claim is. But we caution veterans in doing that because either the website's down, it's inaccurate, it's not up to date, and then they get frustrated and upset.
So you're an expert in this area, right?
I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I have one in my back pocket.
Okay. So could you explain to the viewers what's the difference between 100% disability versus 90% disability and 10% unemployability?
So the disability ratings will go from 0 to 100%, right? There's even non-compensable ratings that you can get.
What does that mean?
Okay, so hearing, let's talk about hearing.
Mm-hmm.
You can go in for a hearing test for audiology. Typically, the veterans will get a 10% rating for tinnitus.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the consolation prize because every veteran has ringing in the ears.
Mm-hmm.
But the hearing test for audiology could say that, yes, you're hearing impaired, but you're not deaf enough. The reason we want to get it service connected anyway is because later on down the line as we age, we know our bodies break down.
Mm-hmm.
What if a veteran does have severe hearing loss at some advanced age?
Mm-hmm.
If we service connect it now, they can then have a re-examination for at least VA paid for hearing aids,
Mm-hmm.
or they can now get compensated because the VA pays the veteran for their pain. What we do, what VSOs do, is not going to make the pain go away. That's pain management by the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So every rating goes from 0 because you can have a non-compensable rating, which means the VA said, yeah, you're service connected, but we're not going to pay you for it. And then it goes by increments of 10. So it goes 10 all the way to 100. So if a veteran calls us and they say, I have 90%, first thing we do is, how long ago did you get it? What do you have it for? And it's typically for a litany of conditions. We also ask them, is it a true 90? To which they don't really know. And so we have to explain to them this quantifiable math, which is rounding up and rounding down. You either have an 85.1 rounded up or a 94 point whatever rounded down. So you don't have a true 90. But mathematically, when it comes to submitting more conditions, that 94 point whatever plus whatever you submit can add up to them getting 100%. Now, you mentioned unemployability. Unemployability just means that you don't have to have 100%, but the VA is going to say, you can't work anymore because you are so disabled. Mm-hmm. You don't need to get the 100. We're going to make you unemployable, so you can't work, but you're going to be paid at the 100% rate. And then all the benefits that come to the veterans as they climb up the scale in the different ratings, benefits at 100%, college for the kids.
Isn't it true that if they are 90 and 10, which is 90% disabled and 10% unemployability, isn't it true they could work a part-time job? They can't go over a certain amount of threshold as far as monies are concerned annually, like they could only make
similar to Social Security,
like 15, like poverty, poverty money, like $15,000 a year.
Yeah, because the whole thing is that if you can't work, then why are we paying you? Mm-hmm. You should be working, right? But it's the similar thing with. I have some veterans that are making several retirements, including a retirement from the military. A lot of veterans work for the post office, so they have a post office retirement, and then they get their VA disability retirement. So a lot of veterans will say, well, can I double dip? Can I get more? And the answer is yes. If you qualify for it, then absolutely.
But if you're 100%, you could work a full-time job.
Absolutely. Yeah, and still draw retirement from your other avenues.
Because if you, a lot of people don't know that, though.
No, you know what? Because it's a big mystery. A lot of the stuff surrounding it, and you know this, it's shrouded in mystery. And I actually went to the VSO's office at Pecos up here when we
215?
first started the company. Yeah. And I
Just
just,
spine on them? Or you-
no, I just walked in and I asked a question and I said, hey,
Well, what branch did you serve, by the way?
I did not because I have a heart murmur.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you was in a branch.
Brother was Navy, so he's
Okay.
my co-partner, my co-owner. He's
Because I was
Navy,
trying to pick
Pops.
that up in the bio.
No. Heart murmur kept me out. So
Okay.
everybody was Navy, so I was going to go Navy, and I wanted to fly.
So why you decided to help veterans?
Well, like I said, in 1981, I decided since I couldn't help them, or I couldn't be one,
Mhm.
that I could help them, and I realized that you really can. So I did get to spend a lot of time at the VA regional office in LA.
You know, there's some veterans are really insecure. They're like, non-veterans should be doing this
Mhm.
and all kinds of BS.
A patriot's a patriot.
Hey, tell me about it.
Right. You don't have to have served, and I don't think that anyone who wanted to serve and because of some physical or mental issue was not able to serve, I don't think they should be obscured in letting them help where they can.
And who want to push away somebody that wants to help, no matter if they served or not?
Do you know how many homeless veterans we have?
A lot.
Let's say 30 to 35,000, depending on the point in time census that's taken, right? That's too many.
One is too many.
It is. And so anyone who's interested in helping a veteran and finds a homeless veteran, as soon as you get off a freeway, you can find a homeless veteran in almost any town. Now, my brother, our other office is in New York City.
Mhm.
We have a huge veteran community called Borden Avenue Veteran Residence in the Bronx. They have taken an old warehouse and converted it into a community, and they put pods in this community, and homeless veterans to the state of New York find themselves there, and we're there every Saturday taking applications, submitting applications, walking veterans through this process. Why? Because we want them to get their dignity back, and part of that is showing them that we're grateful just by shaking their hand and listening to their story. And the other part is we're partners with like Gary Sinise Foundation. They send us veterans a lot. We're trying to work more with Wounded Warrior and T2T. And what they
What
do
was
is
the other
amazing. Tunnel to Towers,
Oh.
right? And they're amazing
All
at what
these
they do.
acronyms.
It's you guys that started it.
FBI, CIA.
VIP.
Those organizations are spectacular.
DOG.
DOJ. How about DOGE? That's my favorite right now.
Isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
A lot of those organizations do really good at what they do. They know what their area of expertise is, and they've been around doing it long enough.
So, Mr. Frias, let me ask you something now.
It's Louie.
Louie.
Yes.
You see what the president is doing, cutting here, cutting there, cutting this, cutting that. Do you think he's going to cut veterans' benefits?
No.
And why do you say that?
Why would he? He's pro-veteran.
Mhm.
What he's doing is no different than you're a CEO of a major company. Pick any company you want, and you survey the landscape and you realize there's a lot of waste that's going on. There's a lot of lazy people from earlier in the broadcast. There's a lot of people sucking on the teat of society that aren't doing anything to earn that. And this is my company and my money. I'm in charge now. Maybe I should put together a task force or hire an outside consulting company and hire them to come in. And all I want you to do, I'm going to give you access to everything. Here's our IT guys. I want you to look at everything you can see. And I want you to tell me, yes, I want you to tell me where the biggest waste is happening. And now that you have identified it, what are we going to do to eliminate that? Because I have shareholders to answer to vis-a-vis the American public. We are the shareholders of this corporation. I need you to tell me where to cut money. Are there things in the VA budget that need to be cut? I don't think so. Not especially if, you have $330 billion in there and only about half of it gets used for the veterans.
That's what I was told by a congressman, that the amount of money that's allocated for veterans, or not all of it, is not being used.
20 million veterans exist. 6.6 are collecting a portion of 10 to 100% every month. You do the financial math and you're going to say, where's the rest of it going? Can you say C-150s, pallets, and shrink wrap over? You know where it's going.
Yeah.
We all know where it's going. And we're finding out right now that everything that we were conspiracy theorists about is actually coming true. So that money is just being laundered away. And this is why veterans, when we approach or they contact us, they usually say, you know what, I'm fine. I'm not as bad as that guy over there. He's really messed up. Or no, I don't want to take anything that doesn't belong to me. Those are both fallacies because A, the day you signed, that entitlement was guaranteed for you.
And plus all your constitutional rights are taken from you the day you sign.
You got to shoot really nice guns.
Oh, stop.
Oh my gosh.
You got to shoot the big boy stuff.
But you have no constitutional right. You're a property of the military, of the U.S. government.
Which is why you got experimented on. Isn't that not true?
That's a whole nother podcast.
Okay, but there's stuff I've been holding in for decades to say.
I always say this because, when people come back and tell me about, a president's going to cut benefits and take away military or veteran benefits, I always say that's one population you really don't want to mess with.
Yeah, because they are 2A boys.
You don't want to mess with a population you trained how to survive and how to take lives and how to start wars and you just don't want to mess with that population.
Yeah, based on what we've seen, and here's what we gauge. We gauge, even though it's difficult to gauge it because there's 50 plus regional offices across the country, everything starts at a central processing location in Wisconsin. Everything either goes through the mail or gets faxed over there, and then it gets disseminated around the country. So you really don't know what examiner or rater is going to get your file. So here's how I want you to imagine it. I'm a veteran and I want to apply for my rating. So I do some research because it's all over the internet and I find out about this form called an intent to file. I pull it down off the VA website. I look at it and I'm like, that seems pretty easy. Fill out my information and sign it, date it, send it in. Then they think that's the sum and substance of what they do. What they'll do is they'll get a letter from VA that says, hey, we got your intent to file, so well done. But now you have up to a year to submit your actual claim. And the veteran's like, I thought that was my claim. No, that is your intent
to file.
And so then they're like, okay, now I got to look up what this stuff is. Then you look at the litany of forms and it's like, why don't you just go grab the IRS tax code and read through that and figure out how to file your 1040, right?
They make it difficult for you.
How
to
is
discourage you.
How is it that some don't even know when they get out of the military? How do they not know that these benefits are available? Why are they not being told? I've heard this so many times.
And you're spot on. They're not being told. The question is, which we can't get an answer to because no matter who you ask, it's like, why don't we just all go on Sean Ryan's show and ask him because he probably knows, but there is no answer. There is no answer because at separation, you get a separation physical, right, Steve? And then at that point, you should be advised, this is who you should go see about getting disability benefit ratings. And I'll tell you right now, the most difficult as a group veteran that we've been encountering that really is the hardest to work with is the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. Our Vietnam guys, no problem, but they're starting to age out, and so
they don't have no time to argue with you.
That's probably right. But our younger guys, like we go to gun shows and we set up a booth.
To argue with you.
Yeah, they just say, you know what, I'm 12 feet tall and bulletproof. There's nothing wrong with me, and we're like, yeah, today. But you don't understand. Every veteran went through the same treatment, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And technically, mathematically, it only takes 8 conditions to get to the 100%. And okay, well, there's TBI, both knees,
traumatic
back,
brain injury.
Yep. OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, right? So you go from the head through the body. And the problem with veterans is that when they say, you know what, I was carrying ammo, that was my job, and I carried it on my left arm, and I hurt my left side. So we find out their left side hurts. So when they submit their claim, they only submit what hurts because that's what bothers them every day. And then they get declined for that, and they get upset. So we look at what they've submitted, and we say, well, let me ask you a silly question. Starting from the shoulders down, you submitted left shoulder, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, how many shoulders do you have? And they're like, 2. And I'm like, so you have to submit it bilaterally because there's a rating for both sides. Same with the hips, the knees, feet, and ankles. And they don't do that. The other thing they do is if their knee hurts, they submit a claim for a knee. But there's 3 ratings for the knee. So you have to be able to submit a knee condition. Here's the one dangerous thing. We can admit as a group that our veterans, in some form or fashion, all suffer from some sort of mental health condition. That's what this is. This is 22 a day. We support the 22 a day initiative. That number's too high. Like when you said 1 is too high, you're right. The problem with veterans is that when they submit a claim, they put what they know it is called, which is PTSD, and then they get declined because they don't meet the stressors. And so they get even more frustrated.
Well, a lot of vets don't want to claim the PTSD because they want to have the right to carry. And they feel that might be obstructed if they claim PTSD.
Well, our law enforcement veterans, many of them will get up to say 50% because the ratings are 10, 30, 50, 70, and 100. And if you typically get 50%, you're what would be considered on the cusp. We always ask them, do you want to submit a claim for an additional rating on your PTSD? And they always categorically say no. Even though it's not a factor in getting them hired or fired, they always say no. So when they submit a claim for PTSD and then they come back to us and they tell us they got declined, we say, we understand why you got declined because you didn't meet all the stressors. Here's what we do. We create an umbrella, and that umbrella is called an acquired psychiatric condition to include PTSD, OSA, inability to play well with others, anxiety, right?
I mean, and they could also do memory loss.
Oh, sure. TBI could be from if you were in the infantry and jumping out of helicopters. If you bang your head 3 times, that's considered a mild concussion, TBI, right? So what about in boot camp? What if you're on a submarine or a tanker? How many times were you a fueler on a ship and you banged your head on a wing or a bulkhead? Veterans don't think about that stuff because here's the biggest problem. A lot of veterans will say, well, I don't have all my records, and you know, when we were in the Corps, we were told suck it up, or I grew up in an era where you just sucked it up because you can't make rank in sick bay. You don't want to be a sick call ranger. And so what happened is, unless it was physically visible, like a broken arm and blood, they gave you what? A Tylenol and said go sleep it off, right? So you didn't have a record of what happened. Can that be a problem? Not really. One of the things veterans do is, like, especially our older guys, they're like, you know what, I have all my records. And we're like, I don't want them. I don't want to hear about them. I want you to send them to me. I don't want to touch them. Because once you give me those records, then we're basically a steward of those records. And to support your claim, we need to submit those. If they're incomplete, the VA is going to see that, and they're not going to call the veteran and say, hey, we need this page 9 of 10 pages. Can you send it to us? No, they just decline the condition, the claim. So what we do is we exploit the VA's duty to assist, and we instruct the VA to go out and get all the veterans' records and provide those records. The reason we want those records is because 99% of the time, and this is what I learned from my mentor, 99% of the time, the reason the veteran was declined was because of a lazy rater or examiner at VA who declined the veteran's claim without an exam. That's an inadequate exam that has to be re-examined. So when I was first learning about this and he told me 99.9% of the time, I said, that's not possible. Nobody is that lazy or that wrong or that right. That's just way too high of a number. And so he just laughed and walked away. And years later, I'm looking at that and I'm like, wow, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong at all.
What was that?
He wasn't wrong. So I have a really, really good mentor in teaching us stuff from the inside, which is what I value. Like if I was getting my taxes done, I could do it myself, go to Walmart, or I could have a tax preparer that used to be an auditor for the IRS. I'm taking the auditor. Why? Because I think they have the highest level of compensation and experience and knowledge. Nothing wrong with the other two, just doesn't fit me.
So how do you locate the veterans that you help, or how do they find you?
Well, we do a lot of direct mail. We are getting more and more referrals from existing veterans. They will call us and say, hey, we had a veteran call us and said, hey, I just got back from a vacation in Venezuela. I'm like, awesome. He says, and I met a guy down there on the beach who is one of your veterans that you're helping, And he said, here's the number you call to get help. And so we have a few veterans in Germany. We have a big veteran group, which one of them you met at the event in January. They are all from Bamberg, Germany. They were serving in Bamberg. And so they have a reunion every year, and there's about 150 of them in this group. And so they invited us this year in June to go to St. Louis and visit with them and present to them and teach them and just educate and inform them on what's happening. Several of them have said, do I have to wait until June to talk with you? And we're like, no, not at all. So a lot of referrals. I mean, our business is switching from referrals. And you know, as a business person, referrals is the easiest way to do better because they've already paved the road for you. And we believe in Kaizen. It's like, okay, how good did we do on the last one? We can still do better. Mm-hmm. So we're constantly trying to do better with what we do.
So you've been helping vets since '81 with the real estate company. Mm-hmm. So what is the U.S. Patriot Fund?
Okay.
What's that about?
So the U.S. Patriot Fund is the nonprofit that when we discovered, one of our biggest sponsors is Tractor Supply Company. And TSC allows us Tractor Supply Company, okay. Right? So they allow, didn't I say that?
One more time? What was that?
There's a stage somewhere on the strip that needs him, right?
A lot of them need me.
This is his stage right here.
So Tractor Supply is a very big partner of ours, and they allow us to set up our system inside or outside of any of their locations because they're very pro-veteran. They hire a lot of veterans, and they cater to that veteran community. And so in New York, early last year, because I go 3-4 times a year and help my brother. Fort Montgomery, right outside of West Point.
Ah,
right.
That's upstate.
Mm-hmm. About 70 miles north of the city.
Yeah, I'm from Bronx.
From the Bronx. So interesting, right? So you know where Borden Avenue is, or is that familiar with you at all? Okay, well, anyway.
Is that in the Bronx?
Yeah, right outside. Or is it the Brooklyn? Brooklyn? I don't remember where it is, but if you looked up Borden Avenue.
Boston Road or anything like that, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
You know where the Yankee Stadium is?
I do.
Where is it?
Off the freeway.
What freeway? It's off the freeway.
Yeah.
Did they move it?
No. Well,
it was on White Plains Road, 161st and Sheridan.
All I remember is coming into the city on the freeway, and I'm taking pictures of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that not a freeway? I know the BQE.
That's by the subway.
I know.
You were in the subway? No.
We were up top. On the freeway.
On the train?
No, driving the car.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honest.
You say so?
Yeah.
A lot's changed since you've been there, apparently.
When was the last time you've been there?
September.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got me beat.
Yeah. And I go, like I said, I go four times a year.
Oh, why?
Yeah, because my brother lives there.
Oh.
And so.
You and him tight?
Yeah, we are.
We met him at the event in January. Remember?
Oh. He's a lot different looking.
The really tall guy.
The bigger guy.
Yeah. Super tall.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was the one.
Biological brother?
He was doing the coining. No.
Oh.
No. But you don't have to be related by blood to be
don't?
brothers.
You don't?
Mm-hmm.
But you know that I'll be saying, okay, he's bigger and he's.
I mean,
not.
if you looked at the two of us together, you'd be like, no, Milkman, no, what's going on, right?
Because I did see twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Okay, we'll go with that, right? I'm the little one.
Yes, it was just like that.
So, going back to TSC, they allow us to do
that.
I just want to make you happy.
Okay. TSC, what does it stand for? Tractor
Trailer Company.
Tractor Supply Company. So as we were wrapping up one day, my brother looked across the parking lot and saw some tents and like little like a homeless encampment. Mm-hmm. And he goes, dude, and I'm like, oh shit.
You gotta get involved.
I'll clean up and takes off, comes back, and he goes, you know what? I'm like, no. He goes, we're shitting the bed on this. And I'm like, how? He says, veterans that are homeless with their dogs, TSC allows them to stay on here for a day or two. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're telling me. He says, homeless veterans. And I'm just sitting there, yeah, what about them? Mm-hmm. What do we do? Do we take some money and go, what do we do? Mm-hmm. Long story short, we said, you know what, we need to start a foundation. And we need to start funding that foundation. And we need to start going out and finding these guys and completing their paperwork for them. The hardest part about
get a disability.
So the goal, and every homeless veteran that we've had, I mean, you go down here to D Street and you go down to Four Master Lane, you go down there during the day and it's It's depressing.
Safer in the day, huh? You don't want to go at night.
No, I'll go wherever they are, whenever they're there, but you're right. But my point is, we noticed that there was a great big hole, and so we started investigating, and all these other, like we said, T2T, Wounded Warrior, Gary Sinise, we reached out to them. Gary Sinise immediately embraced us and started sending us veterans because they said, we don't do and have anybody that does what you do. We do this, and we're like, yeah, we know, that's amazing. That's awesome that you guys do that. They said, but that's could be just a temporary solution.
So let me try to get this straight in my mind.
Tractor Supply Company.
Okay. So the SOS Veterans Assistant, right, that one, helps veterans get their disability, like non-homeless veterans get their disability. And the U.S. Patriot Funds helps homeless veterans get their disability.
Correct.
Okay.
One is the consulting where there's a fee involved, and the other one, we take that part of that fee and we roll it into the foundation.
Got it.
And we also get donations from, Costco's been very good to us. Walmart's been good. BJ's on the East Coast.
People keep telling me to go to Costco and sign up for their nonprofit thing. We need to do that. Yeah.
So also what you should do as a nonprofit is, did you know
over
what Google gives you? Google gives you $10,000 a month in free ad spend as a nonprofit.
Could you give us that list so we can jump on board? With
Just follow our lead. I mean, we're learning
We'll
from
sign
others.
up tomorrow.
we get too busy with this corruption and we all.
I mean, you're focused on something that's really important because it involves money that we spend and we don't see a value for that money. And that comes back to what we do as SOS, is that we give a value for what we're paid that exceeds anything else they could have. And then we let them know that, listen, you're helping your homeless brothers and sisters by you engaging and trusting us because of what we do. Yes. And so that's what we do. So we crawl around the cities and we crawl around gutters and overpasses looking for them.
So the story you just said about in the Bronx and your brother with the homeless vets, is that how the U.S. Patriot
Yes,
Fund
for
was
example.
formed?
Well, it was formed from our experience at Tractor Supply parking lot. Then we started doing research and realized how many there were. And then we realized, you know what, if we start a foundation, we can go nationwide and get donations to fund this so that we can leave when we're going to travel for a year and we're going to go out hunting for a year for veterans. I don't know any other way to do it because I can only see so many veterans in Las Vegas. You know, every city you go to. Here's where I don't want to go, where there's a huge population of homeless. My former state of California. It's probably the highest concentration of homeless. I mean, I get it, it's California. But it's really going to take a lot for me to convince my brother to take a month, go get an Airbnb for a month, inject ourselves into that city of LA and go hunting. And you know what, we gear up, we strap up and we have cameras and we record everything, both for the protection of the veteran ourselves and it's content for the website. So donors and partners can actually see the community impact of their dollar. Because you can tell somebody what you do, but until you actually show them or you see it happening, a surgeon can tell you how he does a knee replacement. And you're like, oh, that's cool, man. But then if he says, come on in the OR with me, you know, suit up and come in here and you get to watch it happening, it's a different dynamic. Because now you're like, now I'm pot committed. Now I know why this doctor volunteers in Mexico doing these surgeries. And now I'm okay to donate because I see what he's doing. And that's the whole purpose that we do the Patriot Fund, is to do that.
All right. Do you have anything else, Mr. Frias?
I love it. I don't. Mr.
Frias, is there something that that you want to say that we didn't cover?
Thank you. No. Just the opportunity to listen to what you two do, protecting the tax base, which is the community and the citizen of Las Vegas, Clark County, keeping people accountable. That's always the toughest thing to do, is because nobody wants to accept accountability for their actions, and everybody wants to do this.
Especially if they're elected.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, but
That's another one.
all we want to do is make sure that every avenue that we can find gets exploited for exposure to what we do. Whether it's we deal with several resources here, homeless resource centers here in Las Vegas that are very, very good to us by inviting us in to teach, talk to staff. And then once staff knows what we do, then it's our responsibility to stay in touch with staff and remind them, when you have a veteran that comes in here, the biggest thing you can do is hook them up with us, because here's what we're going to do. When we get them their money, they're no longer needing your services. That frees up money and a seat or a bed where you are for a mom and a daughter or kids that might not have one. So that's what we do, is we provide the ability to take off their plate so they can fill it up with other people. So it takes a village.
Well, Mr. Frias, I want to thank you for coming
You're
on
welcome.
the program.
Thank you.
Ms. Phillips, I want to thank you for coming on.
Well, of course.
Absolutely. I thank her every week.
You do?
Yeah, every week I thank
Is that why she's so happy?
You didn't need to, but
But he's grateful.
thanks.
Yeah, grateful.
Are you grateful to be here?
Very, very much.
If Mark is going to zoom in on you, and you could have the final word, whatever you want to say, and
Sure.
Maybe a point of contact, how people get
Oh.
in contact with you and all that.
Yeah, we can do
Website.
that. Yeah. Do you mind if I do that? I
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Just
When you can.
Deidre says this man is an angel on earth. Thank you, Deidre.
Okay,
She's talking
all right.
about you.
I'm not an angel. I just do what everyone can do. Each one of you that are watching this, anyone can help, because once you have this information, which you now have, you are now an advocate for an American veteran who provided the umbrella of freedom that we all get to live in, and do things like this, like point the finger at our elected officials, because we have that freedom of speech right. That was paid for by people before us and every day now. So the way you can get a hold of us is our website, which is just very simply sosvetassist.com, sosvetassist.com. Just go to that website, look at the testimonials, look at the blog, watch the video that we made for not only our veterans, but for everyone that wants to know, what is this thing about, and what do you do, and what's your success? Because in the final analysis, if you're not succeeding for those that you wish to help, then what the hell are you doing? So thank you both for
Thanks for coming on, dear.
having me on.
It's good to see you.
All right. You as well.
Thank you, Mr. Frias.
Tractor Supply Company.
That's
We'll
right, Tractor
never
Supply
forget
Company. Folks, that's Louie Frias, founder of USPatriotFunds.org and SOS Veterans Assistant.
Yes.
We hope that you guys learned something today. I sure did. Did you learn something, Ms. Phillips? Yeah.
Always do.
So we hope that you guys learned something. And veterans out there, if you have, you don't even have to have anything. Just go and see Mr. Frias, and he'll let you know if you have some type of disability or not. And that way we could get your paperwork started, because it's your tax dollars. It should be going to you, right? Okay, this is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips.
Wait, he's got one more thing.
Sorry, P.S.
Mr. Frias, didn't I say if you had anything else to say?
P.S. Go ahead.
I said a P.S. Do I get a
No,
P.S.?
before the PS
You
happened.
did say that.
Yeah, you said that you were done.
But she's in charge. She said I could have a P.S.
No,
okay.
you said you got a PS.
Go ahead.
You raising your hand like we're in school.
I'm Arnold
Go ahead.
Borshak, okay?
We
Pardon the interruption.
We
Listen,
won't be like
every-
the city council and cut you off at 2. We'll give you the extra minute.
Okay, every veteran gets a free consultation. All right, everything we do is virtual. I don't care where you are, what you do. If you want a free consultation, you're going to get a free consultation with a former VA appeals attorney. That's as high as it goes up the chain of command. So take advantage of that free consultation and then make your decision. I now acquiesce to my partner.
What's your phone number if you want to give your phone number out to everybody?
866-952-1822. Again,
Go ahead.
866-952-1822. Thank you. Appreciate that. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Mr. Frias, thank you so much
You're
for coming on
welcome.
the program. Ms. Phillips, thank you. Folks, that's Louie Frias, founder of the U.S. Patriots and PatriotFund.org and SOS Veterans Assistance. We hope that you learned something today. And you veterans out there, put your disability claim in. Mr. Frias will take care of you. This is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips of Veterans of Politics. Until next time.